Hey, that's all I got. That's all I got is killer backdrops.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Handkerchief Dynasty, episode 109. Special video presentation continuing our ongoing video coverage of the Edmonton Oilers. I still have a 480p camera, which makes me look like a character from a 1990s true crime documentary. You're looking very well. High Priest of Oilers Magic, how are you?
Pretty good.
How about that game? What are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts going in here?
Well, I mean, obviously, Mike Smith is a much better goalie than Mikko Koskinen. Clearly makes a huge difference. Yeah, that was the main takeaway was how great it was not to feel like I was going to have a heart attack every time the puck approached our goalie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a massive difference. So we'll see what the game plan is moving forward here because I'm sure they're going to go back to the tandem. But in a tandem, there's always one guy who's kind of better. And I think that guy might be Mike Smith.
Do you think it's interesting that we're now so sure that Mike Smith is a better goaltender than Mikko Koskinen, but even though Mike Smith hasn't played any, like we were sure of that prior to the culmination of the prior to this game tonight commencing, like we just because Mikko had just looked so bad for the last little while,
Yeah.
even though we kind of had them neck and neck last year, just by a process of elimination, we all were 100% sure that Mike Smith was a better goaltender, basically.
I mean, I think that the Mikko defenders out there, and I like Mikko. I think he's fine. I think the Mikko defenders out there will still be beating Mikko's drum and saying if you say, well, no, Mikko actually sucks, they'd be like, yeah, but his stats is. I mean, if you look at his numbers, it's like, well, I don't. What about if you look at his games? What about if you look at how he played goal, man? He stunk. So I think the Mikko defenders will still be beating Mikko's drum. But I mean, Mike Smith, they were just a completely different team. And he was the biggest part of that change tonight, for sure. Absolutely. There's no question in my mind. He made huge stops and stops that, needed to be made. He was just super comfortable, played the puck. Like for as much crap as Mike Smith gets for playing the puck and like being, risky with the puck, for my money, Mikko Koskinen is about 20 times riskier. Every time that guy touches the puck, he can't hold on to it, rebounds every single time. Like he even had during this run over the last 10 games, he had what would be defined if Mike Smith did it as classic Mike Smith boner. Like he does it all the time. He's no savant at handling the puck. Like his game is. I mean, that was the one thing. Like, it's gonna be brutal when Mike Smith goes behind the net to get the puck again. Oh boy, here we go. Like, give me a break. Like, have you been watching Mikko? It's like a disaster every time Koskinen gets close to the puck. So I don't know. That was my big takeaway. It was just like, yeah, it makes a difference when there's a goalie in net that's not just like an absolute walking disaster. I don't know.
I mean,
What
I
do you
think
think?
it's got to make the whole team play with like a little bit more swagger, a little bit more confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Of course.
because Miko did look like a little bit like a shrinking violet lately.
He
I mean,
always
really, this whole
has,
year.
man.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? He had that one good run where we all fell in love with Mikko, right? And Mikko somehow, I mean, and I still like the guy, but we've been under his trance since that run when he initially came in. And that
Well,
was like
we've established
that
this.
was
Like
like
they're like
2 years ago. That
goalies
was
are
like 2 or 3
wizards.
years ago.
It was a 2-year trance. His trance lasted 2 years on us. You know,
Like I think we really wanted as Oilers fans for a goalie named Mikko Koskinen
a Finnish
to
goalie. Yeah.
to succeed. We wanted it so bad. which makes total sense. Like, of course we did. Like, it would have been awesome, but it just like didn't happen. And we're lucky we have Mike Smith, I think.
And he's basically got the dad's handed him the keys to the car until summer, right? Like, basically.
It feels like that. I mean, we'll have to see, because we haven't had the tandem system since, I'm going to say, before the qualifying round, because I don't know about you, but it didn't feel to me like the tandem system was being employed during the qualifying round. It's like they gave up and just gave the keys to Miko after Mike Smith let in a bad goal. And then they were just like, well, Miko can do the rest. So we haven't had the tandem system since like the end of right before the postponement. And we were smoking back then. Like, we were kicking butts. So this will be the first time we've had that since. And I think they're going to run with that for as long as they can, I imagine. But yeah, it feels to me right now that Miko or that Mike Smith has more of the keys. On Mike Smith's key ring, there's like the key to the car and like the key to the house.
Yeah, the key to the garage, the key to the woodshed,
key to the garage,
key to like Grandpa's place, across town,
Yes.
key to the beach house.
And Miko's keys are like in a magnetized case, like stuck under the lid of the barbecue.
Right.
Like, Miko, do you know where your keys are? And he's like, yes, they're under the lid of the barbecue in the little case. That's right.
I mean, maybe he'll look better with a little bit of rest, but yeah, he's probably never
How much
been the
rest does this guy need? This is another thing. Can I just say something here? This whole rest thing. Like, Miko had 3 days off after a game and then did his stinkiest performance. How much rest does this man need? You know what I'm saying? Have a cup of coffee and stop some pucks, friend. You know what I'm saying?
I don't really recall the rest issue being brought up nearly as much with like any other goalie.
No, of course not. This rest thing, it's nuts. Like, this guy gets more rest than I do. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like whatever goalie is in the Oilers net, I'm gonna have kind of like rose tinted glasses that I look at them with a little bit. Like, I'm always going to be cheering for them, no matter how shitty they are. No matter how shitty they are, Man,
I would say that. I would say not just Oilers goalie. I would say it, like, if it's not the goalie the Oilers are currently playing, I look at pretty much every goalie in existence with rose-colored glasses. Like, ultimately, when I'm watching a game, it's the goalies I want to succeed. Like, when I watch a game, there's nothing better when I watch a game than like a spectacular goaltending performance. So I'm always rooting for the goalies, but
it's true.
I'm not just going to root for a goalie that stinks and is on the team that I like just blindly. Like, there comes a point where you shouldn't have to feel guilty or like a piece of shit for saying, like, you know what, like, this guy sucks. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And I think like Miko,
I haven't reached that point yet. I think you're at that point. We're well past that point at this point. I really appreciate it too. I really appreciate you being willing to say how badly he sucks.
You know what? It's because you are also at that point. You're just a nice guy. You're not going to say it.
That's
like,
probably true.
I know you're at that point as well. You're just letting me do all the dirty work. That's fine.
As per usual.
Yeah.
Like, remember 95? It
was all dirty work. 365 days of your dirty work. I did. 1995.
1995.
Round the clock dirty work.
I was thinking about it because as we were live tweeting during the game, I was saying how excited I was. What a entertaining game it was in spite of the score, even though it wasn't really necessarily at that point. But I realized it like when I thought about it, because you said no, it hasn't been that exciting, and I realized it's just I enjoy the Oilers playing with the lead so much.
No, I said I said it was exciting.
Oh no, you said no, not right now or not lately or something.
No, I said, you said, like, even though we haven't scored a lot of goals, this is what happened. You said, even though we haven't scored a lot of goals, this game has been sort of entertaining. And then I said something about how despite the lack of goals, like, those weren't I didn't find those games entertaining. Those other games, like, it was like 8-5 and it was just like a nightmare.
It was just terrifying.
Like, crap.
It was just terrifying.
It was crap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
this
you
was like
believe? Can you believe this game, versus the like Ottawa game, the 8-5 game? Like Ottawa kind of like pulled it together, like behind in front of their goaltender or something. Like they've kind of clamped it down a little bit, after giving up 8.
Well, their goalie's playing way better. I mean, their
Yeah.
goalie last game, it's not always the defense. Sometimes the goalie stinks. Ottawa's goalie last game, when we smoked them in both those games, their goaltending was abysmal. It was absolutely terrible. And that's a good goalie. Matt Murray's a good goalie, and he played well tonight. Like, he played like he's supposed to play. It makes a huge difference. Goaltending makes a significant difference in the game. It's not always like, I don't know, these guys that are like, well, I don't know if Mikko had half decent defense in front of him. I mean, he's going to stop 2 of those goals. His average shoots up to like 920. We're looking at a whole different guy. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, the speculation, like if we had a different team, Mikko would be a better goalie.
Well, if we could change the
That's your
gravitational
point.
constant of the universe,
Yeah.
everything, those pucks never would have flew by, because gravity would have pulled them down again.
Hey, I'm telling you, if Mikko was a stack of bricks, I mean, his goals against would be like probably 0. His save percentage probably like, I don't know, like 100%. If he was a wall of bricks. So Mikko's like, he's not that bad.
You've been calling into 6:30 Cheds after like a overtime open line. I think I've heard you a few times on there. Like we should call into overtime open line in that voice.
We should never do that. You should never do that again. We should never ever call in to open line again. No way. We just shouldn't do that.
My call in recently was wildly successful. What are you talking about? It was beloved by all. Like I gave him and Rob a good laugh.
Was it beloved by all?
Yeah. Don't you remember? Like after I hung up, Rob was like, "Is he really a professor?" And Reed was like, "In his own mind, he is." Come on.
Yeah, I suppose it was loved.
All right. Well, fine. Be a dick about it. Okay. How good did you feel after the Tyler Ennis goal?
Yeah, I felt good. It was nice to see him score. It was a sweet move. We were really cheering loud at the house when that happened. It was a great move. I mean, yeah, we played it was a good, sane hockey game. It was like, I'm sitting down to watch a hockey game. There's going to be stretches in this game. I'm going to be a little bit bored and my mind will wander. I want to leap out of my seat a couple times. I don't want to be angry and almost crying. I don't want that to happen. I want to try to avoid that. That's not natural when you're watching a game. So tonight's game, I felt sort of like covered the basis of, watching a typical game. It felt like.
It kind of felt like the first like real game of the year. Like it feels like every other game up to this point has been more of like a nerve-wracking, kind of hellscape of potential or like near potential fatal terrors. Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, once again, like, this is why going into this stretch of games, we were talking about it, this is such a strange stretch of games because you have the Ottawa games are buttressing the Calgary game, which was sort of like the filling of the Oreo cookie. And the Ottawa games, like, who the fuck knows? Like, the Oilers have to beat Ottawa in the next game tomorrow, or this game that they just won will become meaningless. And that Calgary game, the way they performed in that Calgary game, will overshadow what happened tonight. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, we're not going to be able to assess the team again properly, it feels like, till we're out of this Ottawa series, because for whatever reason, people just think, and Ottawa they did clamp down a bit tonight, and their goalie played better. But if their goalie plays better tomorrow, I mean, people are really piling on Ottawa as almost like the jokiest of all joke teams of the past like 50 years. It feels like they're a real punchline right now.
Is the Canadian hockey media the most pile on media of medias, would you say?
Well, I mean, we're a pile on. This is a pile on country. Like, this is,
that's true.
Hockey
that's
is
true.
Like it's a bread and butter. So it feels like, I think Ron McLean on the weekend said that he was talking about the way the whole season's been covered so far. And he said that it felt like This was prior to Edmonton playing Calgary. He was like, yeah, the way Calgary is going, like it feels as though we might have to hold a tribunal on the Calgary Flames soon as well. And the word tribunal, it's like, that's exactly what it feels like. Like every team is like, you know what I mean? Like we're so eager to just like declare that it's completely over and this whole thing needs to be like assessed and we feel and torn apart.
Completely entitled to this, like strong opinions, you know?
Yeah. Well, of course. Like, I mean, we are entitled to that. That's
I know. I think we're entitled to like 90% of what we claim. I think there's an extra 10% we take where we're just like, oh, you know, yeah, time to give up the ghost and tear it down. You know, like bite the bullet.
That's the sweetest part. That's what we're entitled to do the most, is to just declare everything over.
I'm averse to it though, because you know how many people have been saying that about, like how many times people said that about the Oilers at various points, like in the McDavid era, you know?
Yeah, but I think that's like healthy behavior. That's a healthy reaction to when you're not satisfied with your team. Like that's our privilege as sports fans, to completely overreact and kind of pour all the energy that we would, you know, if we didn't have the Oilers to kind of dump all that excess energy into, who knows what we pour it into. Something weird, no doubt. Like the Oilers kind of provide a good vessel for all our excess emotion. So I never, when somebody's like, this team's toast, those are the people like I sort of most feel a kinship towards, because I know like they don't really feel like that way. They're just like expressing their emotions. Like I know they love the Oilers more than anyone. You know what I mean? It's like people it's like when the team's doing really bad and you say something negative and somebody's like, give me a break. Like you should try being positive. Like that's something that like I can't stand. It's like, are you kidding me? Like positive about what? And why should I be? What would the point of that be? Like what's the benefit to me to being like everything's great when it's like clearly a bunch of crap? Like I don't think that's healthy at all. You have to acknowledge crap when you see it and acknowledge gold when you see gold. Both things.
I mean, I try to acknowledge the little tiny flower kind of busting through the concrete, you know, like I'm extremely pessimistic 99% of the time, but I need that little 1% of yeast to make the bread rise.
Yes, absolutely. But you're also allowed to be like, but this sucks. You know what I mean? You shouldn't feel guilty for saying something sucks, or you shouldn't be made to feel as though you're not a fan of the team or like a bandwagoner. You know what I mean? Like being a fan has nothing to do with being positive. It's short for fanatic. You're a fanatic. Your emotions are wildly out of control.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
What I mean? You're fanatical. You're not happy. You're not positive all the time. Anyway, we should talk more. What about? We should talk more about the game, though. Maybe we should.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like I'm just ranting.
I mean, like, what did you think of? Oh, go ahead.
What did you think of? Two scraps within the first minute of the game, and then Cassian. Who knows? Like, what did he get hit in the noggin, or
did he something like that? Yeah.
Did he actually I'm not get hit in the head?
I'm not sure what the injury was. I haven't checked in yet.
I really hope.
I loved it, but
it would. Sad.
Hopefully, it's not serious. Yeah.
I hope it's just some sort of pectoral. You know, when you're going like, you're giving some guy the business,
right? Yeah,
I don't know. I assume. Yeah. I've never
like in 95. No, remember?
Oh yeah. Well, I took a lot of the business in 95.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Jujar and Cass are like listening to Handkerchief Dynasty and then like realizing, oh man, like these guys are starting to lose faith in us. We really got to like step it up. Miko must not be listening though.
No, I don't think Cassian's listening either. Jujar strikes me as the kind of guy who might listen. What did you think of Jujar? I mean, I like Jujar. I think he's really great on the penalty kill. Like our penalty kill kind of stinks without him there. He seems he embraces that role. What did you think of, like, it looked to me because I don't think he asked for that fight, right? Like it looked like the other guy asked for that fight, and Jujhar was kind of like a reluctant. He reluctantly agreed to that fight. It looked like, not reluctantly, like he.
No, it looked pretty equals to me. It looked like they both wanted to get some hate on.
I don't know. I don't think I think Jujhar would have been fine with not getting in a scrap, but I'm glad he got in a scrap.
How did you think Bush looked? I think Bush is continuing to play pretty solid. Like, not amazing necessarily. Okay. Yeah.
He got caught a couple times, I saw.
Yeah. I like the way he moves the puck too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I like his size. He looks good out there. I think 75 is also a very cool number. Like when he picked 75, I was like, oh yeah. I checked the numerological charts, and they were very, very portentous.
3/4. He's 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really notice him that much. I noticed he made a couple mistakes, but I mean, yeah, he played a good game. He should still be in the lineup. What do you think? What do you think about Yamo right now?
I mean, I think he's struggling a little bit. I think he's still battling. You still see the battle. Like he hasn't lost any of like his fundamentals, I would say, that make him the great player that he is. But I think maybe he's just lost a little bit of his I don't want to say mojo. I don't know. I think it's maybe just like a bad little bit of a quiet streak for him more than anything else. Because it seems to me like he's still doing almost everything I still expect of him. Like there's still times where he makes plays where I'm just like, yep, Yamamoto.
Yeah.
He's so good on the boards. He's so good. He's decent forechecker. He's good in front of the net. There was the one play, the 1 2-on-1 with Draisaitl where he tried to like pass it back to Draisaitl was like probably a mistake.
Yeah.
Quite obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think he's fighting it a little bit, but it's going to come. Like he's doing all the things that made him successful. He's just kind of fighting the puck. I want him to succeed. I only bring it up because it's frustrating to watch him be frustrated. I feel bad for Yamo because I know he's like, shit. I can empathize with his frustration.
Yeah.
I'm not upset with Yam. I'm not upset with him. I'm not upset with him at all. Just I can empathize with him right now. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. It's funny. Every time we win a game, I feel like, oh, okay, we finally settled down. We're kind of in our groove now, and like the season's really going to start. But do you think we're just going to go right back to oopsie whoopsie next game?
Next game doesn't even matter. I mean, we have
the game after Ottawa. Yeah.
Who do we play after Ottawa?
Isn't it Vancouver?
Is it really?
No, it's Montreal. That's right. Yeah, Montreal.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And then Winnipeg.
So that's perfect. So these Ottawa games will be what they are. I mean, we basically, like I said, we have to win tomorrow night or we'll be judged on the Calgary game. And then the game against Montreal will tell the tale, right? That'll be a assessment of where we're at. And if we show up to that game with no fight, or we just like come out like zombies, then it'll be like, okay, well, I guess this is what we are then. But on the other hand, if we come out and win that game, I mean, presumably Mike Smith starts that game. You know what I'm saying?
Presumably.
I would say so. Mika will get tomorrow. And then, I mean,
one guy on the radio said just start Mike Smith both games back to back. Give Miko extra rest, which I thought was like
serious?
Wild. I can't remember who it was. It was like quite a, but I think honestly it was like
that's insane.
Probably just a little bit of frustration with Miko, and they just wanted to see Mike Smith out there for both games, anyways. I mean, Miko started back to back to start the year, right? Although that didn't.
Well, yeah, he had to do it, and he like probably stunk in both those games, or he stunk in the first one, and then we won the second one against the Canucks. It was that great game, one of the best games of the season. But we had to score 5 goals in that game to win it.
Fun times.
No, I think Mika will get to start tomorrow, and then Mike Smith on against Montreal, and that'll be a huge game. That's how I'd do it. But who knows?
Yeah, Smith really looked. Go ahead.
He just looked. Yeah, he looked steady. We were both going to say the same thing. I think that he brought something to this team that has been missing.
It's funny
And
though, because like even with the flailing saves mixed in, he still just looks steady because he just seemed like more engaged in the game
yeah,
somehow to me too. You know?
totally. Well, he
Yeah.
moves, right? If you're a goalie who's like not like Mike Smith is a big guy, but I think he's more athletic than Mikko Koskinen. I think Mikko Koskinen is much more of a giant man type of goalie, where Mike Smith is just like a big goalie. He's not necessarily a giant. You know what I mean? Like he's athletic. He's much more athletic than Mikko Koskinen. There's no question.
Well, he spends more time just like I mean, he would have to be. He's probably like he's flung around the net like gumbo about 1,000,000 times more percentages. I mean, again, it's kind of a big man versus like because yeah, when you're a big guy, you move less. You're big in the net. Blah blah blah. J.S. Shiger was like that, right?
Yeah, but Mike Smith isn't he's not he doesn't have the mass of Mikko Koskinen. You know what I mean? Mikko Koskinen seems much more mass based. You know what I'm saying? And
Somehow,
also,
like
how handy is it to have a guy who can play the puck like that? Like, for as often as Mike Smith gets dragged for messing it up, like once every 5-6 games, like how awesome is it the rest of the time to have a guy that can like make a play, like move the puck, start the play the other direction? Like, how great is that? Not every team has that. That's so awesome. And he was doing it so well tonight. Like his puck movement, like Mike Smith with the puck tonight, out of control. So good. Like perfect. Played a great Mike Smith game tonight.
Yeah, man.
Mikko's never like that. Every time Mikko left the net, we wondered what was going to happen. And so many times it was like a huge, like crazy adventure.
I mean, he wouldn't leave that often, but like it was his whole play just seemed nervous, which is just anathema to like success in the National Hockey League. Like I just always think of like,
yeah,
you know, the scene in Bambi where there's the one bird that freaks out, and like it's like that's what being an NHL goaltender like struggling is like. You're just
totally.
Like we got and then everyone just ends up getting shot by a shotgun or whatever.
And I think just having him back there, like, I mean, he was in the Calgary game. He just brings so much to the team. I think that is lacking. Like his whole demeanor, his whole presence is, there wasn't any of those things that he brings. Nobody was stepping up to bring those things. And now we have them again because he's back. It's just really beneficial to this team. They need a guy like Mike Smith desperately at all times. Almost preferably. Like it's great that the guy who brings that is our goalie, where we won't have to kind of be like sucked into whatever vortex could go on the bench when we're like getting our asses kicked. Like he's not part of that miasma. He's like just in the net by himself, like dealing with it on his own. And he's also the guy who's like most suited to be like, come on, you idiots. Like, let's get it together here.
Apparently he's very vocal in the room, right?
Oh yeah. He's a huge, he's like, his whole career has been like that. Big room guy.
Yeah. Which probably rubs some people for the wrong way somehow. I feel like some people probably prefer the goaltender to be stoic somehow. Don't you think?
Yeah. I don't know. In a room where everybody's like that, I'd say that nobody's probably like, I wish this guy would shut up.
Probably not. So, closing thoughts. Ottawa tomorrow. Should we abolish the Senate, you think? Quick sidebar.
Yeah, probably. I think so.
Yeah. Because like, when was the last time you even were aware of any of the work the Senate was doing?
It'd be the first time if I was ever made aware. It'd be the first time.
Exactly. Okay, so you figure this is now Mike Smith's team. I wanted to ask you as well, like, do you think Jesse Puljujarvi is providing the aforementioned just like competence? Remember a few episodes ago when I said we just needed some competence on that top line with Connie? I mean, I don't actually think Puljujarvi's a long-term fit necessarily there. Like,
I don't know. They almost scored again tonight. I mean, Puljujarvi got robbed. So, I mean, if that goes in, it's not like they were getting any chances like that with Cassian in that spot. So I think it's fine. I think we won tonight. Let's not keep going to the blender. Like, if there's something there, just roll with it for a little bit. You know what I mean? We're so blender crazy. This team is so blender crazy.
It's true. It's true.
Pugliarvi, yeah, he's looked good. He's huge on that line. I think he brings something to it. It's great. He should stay there for as long as he can. Like, who else are you going to put there? Cassian again?
Never. No. Archibald is really the second option now, which is, says a lot. I mean, he looks okay on that line sometimes, but yeah, I think we're going to see Pugliarvi there for the foreseeable future, but I just foresee him fitting in on another line and there being a different long-term solution on that side for Connie.
So you're talking about moving him to the third line then?
I'm not
sure. Where he'll see like limited minutes.
I mean, no. In my mind, I'm envisioning more of a second line assignment. I mean, has he ever played with Draisaitl?
Nope.
I don't know if he has.
But why? Like, that line's cooking. Draisaitl scores every single game.
I'm saying
you shouldn't even think about that.
Okay, fine.
You shouldn't even think about it. Like, what are you doing? How is that helpful? How is that helpful?
Rattled.
You're just muddying the waters.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like, it's so crazy in Edmonton when a line is cooking. Our natural inclination is to be like, you know what? What if we did one more thing here? Just one more thing. We took this guy off the line. And what if we put that guy there? And then it doesn't work. And we're like, well, I don't know. I don't understand what happened. I don't understand what happened here. It's like, well, it's because it was working and you tried to make it better. Like your concept of you want to make it better, whatever that means, whatever you're talking about. When something's working and it's like, this should be better. We should be scoring more goals. Like, it's never enough in this place.
Yeah, that might be a good point. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, just relax. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, let's leave it there, bro. I got to tuck in. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Always a pleasure. You're looking very high definition compared to me, which I enjoy. Any predictions for game 2? Any thoughts?
Well, we have to win.
Obviously.
We just have to win.
Obviously. I mean, if we don't win, it'll be like a blemish on our record, of epic proportions, right?
If we don't win and then the next game is against the Habs, I mean, either way, it just would have been so helpful if we had at least put in a game against Calgary, like, and not just had the ultimate stinkeroo. You know what I mean? It's really made, this is a very confusing stretch because of these Ottawa games. So they have to win. They definitely can't lose. And if they do lose, they have to lose like in a shootout or overtime, or like it has to be a spectacular game where they just like couldn't sneak one past the goalie. It can't just be like a typical Oilers, like the game's over within 3 minutes. So I don't know. I hope they win. I mean, Ottawa looked fine tonight. Mike Smith made some great saves. And the pressure is going to be on Mikko Koskinen to a huge degree. That's what the next game is going to be all about, actually, is Mikko Koskinen. Whether or not he can bounce back and show that he's got anything. Because if he lays another egg, I mean, you know what I mean? This is like, it's getting close to the end, it feels like, if he puts another stinker performance out there.
If I recall last episode, you said it was his already his Waterloo. So yeah.
The Calgary game? Yeah. Yeah. So, and you said that like Waterloo was like,
I said it was basically his penultimate. It wasn't his Waterloo quite yet, but we'll see.
Maybe this could be like the
Waterloo
shipped off to an island type of thing.
Yeah.
Where did he go? Alba? The island of Alba?
I think it was the island of Abba.
Just ABBA music around the clock.
Yeah, it was like a torture device. Yeah. Although I quite like ABBA.
Yeah,
so
that would
not
not
a big deal.
That would not torture me. I would
nice vocal harmonies.
Dance my face off until I was dead.
Sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, have a nice night. I'll talk to you mañana, and we'll review our goals. We'll review our core pillars, our brand proposition, and then we'll just go from there.
That sounds great.
Okay, dude. Have a nice night. I'll talk to you manana.
See ya.